perverse and violent, and that's why the main thing that I feel is hatred. It's in the air and in the conversations and in the streets and in the horns and in every single interaction that you have. It's complaint and hatred. And then because of these governments that have done a huge and a perfect, it's almost like a perfect game plan to divide the society. It's closer to 60-70% of people that are living in extreme conditions. But we see that we have all the potential and it's there, and people are so smart, like, what's going on? And yeah, you know what's going on. It's been stolen. Top politicians just, putting like huge chunks of dollars into a bag. Been an entrepreneur for 15 years. Then I was also executive for 5 years, almost 20 years of experience. I'm about to be 40, so it's a pretty interesting times to see what has worked and what hasn't over the past 20 years, and plan the next decades. Right now, I'm focused on coaching other founders to navigate crucial transitions with natural confidence and ease. Natural confidence means that every single founder that I see, and I've been there through multiple times, every time that we up our game, we increase our challenge, even because we want it or because the situations change, the environment changes, and then suddenly we are into a rut. Our self-confidence is hit. We start feeling imposter syndrome. And I have some guys that are doing $100 million per year, and they still feel as imposters. Their confidence is hit, and they're still having a lot of doubt. That's because the challenge level is too high versus too big versus the skill set. There's a mismatch between skills and challenges. And I'm coaching, I'm helping them transition and navigate these transitions with less struggle, with less pain. And I'm honing over on my almost 20 years of experience in business. And I'm writing a lot about all the failures, all the fuck-ups. I'm focused on having some real talk about entrepreneurship. Yes, we had a lot of success, but also it's been very hard. And I want to bring some real conversations about the struggle and the pain that an entrepreneur goes through, so we can address that, not to whine about it, we're going to address it in order to maximize it. Because I've been coaching within EO, a nonprofit entrepreneurs, for 10 years, and every single success story is completely masked with huge pain inside. So by addressing that pain, I think we can create a better life for founders and then for all the ecosystem that is around the founders.
Give me a little bit of stats. So your company and your partner's company, ClickOn, right? That was like a Groupon, but back in South America.
Exactly.
The biggest in Argentina.
Yeah.
It was founded in Brazil because of the investors.
Yeah.
How long did you create this business, and when did you sell it? And if you can share the annual income and the exit price?
Yeah, 100%. Yes, we were the largest Groupon competitor in Argentina. We started in 2010. 2010 was when Groupon started here in the US.
Yeah.
And we got contacted by some German and Swiss investors. They are the main competitors from Rocket, the Samba brothers, very aggressive German guys. And the model is see what's booming in the US and just replicate it over the whole world. Mm-hmm. They don't innovate, they just see what's booming in the US and they do what we call R&D, rip off and duplicate. So we started the company in 2010. Groupon was the largest company, so we're the second one. We were like kind of the living social of Argentina. We started to found the company in Mexico, Chile, Colombia, Brazil, and Argentina. And then what these German guys had as a strategy was to put a German consultant as a co-founder and a local executive or founder as a co-founder. So they had like this German structure, ex-McKinsey, ex-Bain, like main consulting companies of the world, and a local, I don't know if expert, but a local founder, so that they had the local muscle. So when we saw that the business model was booming in the whole world, they were actually investing in almost 20 countries like Australia, Dubai, Switzerland, Germany. We were all around the world. And they were all sister companies. The idea was, instead of doing a global brand like Groupon, they would have like 20 local brands. So they would be, and with local teams, with local co-founders, so that they would have more muscle and speed and adaptability to compete against the giant that was Groupon. So when we saw that the countries were booming, we did a management buyout after 1 year, and we kept Argentina. So we specialized in Argentina, my co-founder and I, and then my current co-founder jumped in. So stats, over 9 years of execution from 2010 and to 2019, we sold in total $65 million with a maximum of 10. So like in the middle, like they say, like the middle of the curve was between $8 to $10 million a year. That was average. It was the typical hockey stick. First year, I think the first 3 or 4 months, they almost shut us down because we weren't doing any money. And we had like 20 employees, so I thought it was over. And then when we were able to ship that, steer that ship and turn it around, we got to $1 million in the first year. And then the second year, I think we grew to $6 million. So by the end of the first year, we had 80 employees. So it was huge growth pains. I was 26 years old. I didn't know what I was doing. I was learning by doing for sure and by failing. So yeah, that was the revenues. And then we sold the company to a local group. NDA, I cannot disclose the number. It wasn't a huge exit. It was more a conclusion of the project and to hand it over a new company. The business model was already showing that there wasn't going. It needed some pivot. It needed to change.
Yeah.
Even though we were not executing exactly as Groupon, because Groupon it was more about pumping the numbers, kind of like WeWork. Try to be as big as possible with the huge numbers as possible, and then sell it, or not sell it. I mean, go do the IPO. And I always say that the biggest offer that Groupon launched was their stock price. They launched, I think, at 26, and by the end of the year they were at 26, so 90% off the stock. So the market was showing that model wasn't sustainable, and we always executed the company to be like a small and medium company. Has profitability and sustainability was the number one thing. But we were already seeing problems with the model that the merchants were not giving a great experience for the users because they were coming with such a big discount.
Yeah.
And even though those Delta users were profitable for the merchants, they were still treating them like the bottom of the hole. It's like, you're coming with a discount. Like, I give you the sheet at table, or you have to wait. So of course that fucked up the user experience. So it was very difficult to turn that around. And also Argentina wasn't doing well at all. In 2018, when I was traveling around the world to find inspiration for a new project while we were thinking of selling the company, our dollar, our peso, Argentine peso, it's a very dollarized country. So it started having a huge macroeconomic problem. So between 6 months, within 6 months, the dollar went from 20 pesos to 40 pesos to 60 to 80. So we started losing, so
revenues. Inflation is skyrocketing.
Yes, right now inflation is between 150 to 200%.
And it's doing this for 70 years, I want to say, right?
When I left the country 5 years ago, it was at 80% or 100% a year inflation. So it's been incrementing on the past 5 to 10 years by 10, 20, 30% per year, depending on the year. Of course, the pandemic really accelerated the process. So it was harsh. It was very difficult to operate. I mean, even though we have some muscle on adjusting prices every time, you have to adjust the selling price and the costs and then the salary. It's a constant battle. And it's very difficult to manage it because everyone's, there's actually not enough money because it's always a race of if you raise the prices, but then the consumers don't have so much money to pay that price. But then the living cost is raising for your employees, so you have to raise raise the salary for the employees. So that's why the US is really, really pushing to lower the inflation because it's a never-ending game. It's like being in a casino. It's like being a drug addict. It's difficult to stop it. So that's why it's so important, imperative to lower it.
Ignacio, let's talk about Argentina, right? So what I know about Argentina is this is 100 years ago, it was a top 10 country in the world, right? The GDP was incredible. 100%. Everything is incredible. So big territory, a lot of people, amazing climate, amazing nature. So you've got the mountains, you've got the ocean, you've got everything, right? You've got the resources, you've got everything. So 100 years ago, top 10 country in the world. Right now, for the last 20 to 30 years, I want to say 1988, 1989, the inflation was peaked at 3,000%. That was crazy.
Hyperinflation.
Hyperinflation.
Yeah.
And it's been for 70 years. So God bless Argentina for getting this new president. I hope Argentina gets better with the Milei. Tell me about what it is like to live in Argentina with all the resources, with everything. God blessed this country. But still, once the Perón came, 1950 something.
45 something.
Yeah.
For me, it's one of the best countries in the world. Like
still, really. With all this mess.
We're talking about potential here.
Yes.
Not in a good situation. That's why we decided with my fiance to emigrate, at least for this stage of life. So it's a very, very, very painful decision, because it's not that it's a shitty country, it's a shithole, and we're like, let's get the fuck out of here. It's a freaking amazing country, and everyone knows it. So it's perverse and violent, and that's why the main thing that I feel, that I was feeling when I was living there, and that I feel even the most when I go back every single 2, 3, 4 times a year, is the hatred.
Amongst each other? Or against government?
Against the situation as a whole.
Oh, you mean it's in the air, right?
It's in the air, and in the conversations, and in the streets, and in the horns, and in every single interaction that you have. It's complaint and hatred. Because people recognize that it's a freaking not best country, but it's a freaking amazing country. We had all the potential. People are very smart. Education was or is great, however you want to do it. But we have very high education. People are extremely smart. Most of the best Latin American unicorns, company unicorns, come from Argentina.
Yes.
Now we are, because of the exchange rate arbitrage, we have worldwide talent with borders being down with COVID and so much remote work. Argentinians are starting to become like a very valuable results around the world, because it is extremely cheap and the talent is extremely high. So it's a huge arbitrage, and people know it. And then when they see that when we all see that we're in the bottom of almost every ranking except for the corruption that is when the highest, there's so much hate about the situation. And then because of these governments that have done a huge and a perfect, it's almost like a perfect game plan to divide the society, to use this as we call it the football match parties, the rooters of you're wrong, no, you're wrong. And they have divided the population. Like nobody even knows what's happening. We're all like, whose fault is this? What's going on? Like we're the worst country economically, but we see that we have all the potential and it's there and people are so smart, like what's going on? And yeah, you know what's going on. It's been stolen. Left and right, so the money's been stolen. So
when you say the worst country economically, is Argentina owes the most money to the IMF, right?
IMF.
So almost around 40% of people are poor.
That's declared by the government.
And in reality is even more.
And I always say that, yes, first of all, yes. Second, imagine that
40%.
It's not, yeah. And I think, I don't remember the exact numbers, but when you see infant child poverty, it's like 70%.
7 out of 10.
It's like fucked up. And and the worst thing about this, I always make this analogy, when you're talking about 40% of people poor, it's not that when you go over the 40 and you're 41, the 41, 42 or 43% of people are just great. There's still 10 to 20% that are close to poverty. So in reality,
So poor people can afford 2 eggs a week, 44%, 2.5 eggs.
exactly. So, you know, when the poverty line is very, very harsh. Once you are below, it's extremely harsh.
Yeah.
But then people that are close to that poverty line are still almost poor. So in reality, it's closer to 60 or 65 or 70%, depending on where you put the bar, to say, okay, which are people that are doing okay. So it's not the ones that are over the 40 and it's like 41%. Okay, I'm okay. I'm on the other line. No, you're still there. You know, you're just like 1 centimeter, 1 inch away from that exactly being. So because let's say that I don't remember the numbers right now with exchange rate, but let's say that below $100 a month, because the average salary is $300 a month, 250
And it's not cheap in Argentina.
at all, and because of the inflation,
Yeah.
the purchase power is going down. And it's a cycle that it's very difficult to stop. We'll see now if they can stop it. So let's say I don't really know the updated numbers for poverty line, but if let's say that below $100 or $50 a month, you're poor. The one that is doing 51 or $52 a month is not poor by definition, but it's still the same. You know, it's really fucked up. So mostly when you go there, it's closer to 60-70% of people that are living in extreme conditions. That's a pragmatic way to do it, not the theoretical way. Theoretical is just a line saying, okay, no, over 40, you're not poor. Like, really? By definition, you're not poor.
Yeah.
But in reality,
You are.
you're.
And it's a long way to come out of this shit.
Exactly. Especially because it's a false socialism.
Why do you say
Populism.
it's false? Because the statistics is 62% of government expenditure is for welfare.
Yeah.
1/3 of all employees are employed by the government, by the state.
Yeah.
So that's not fake socialism, it's true socialism. But the true socialism, it doesn't work just like communism.
Yeah.
And for me saying this, I came from former USSR country. I know what it's like.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm 35. So I was three years old when USSR collapsed. Okay, so I don't remember the times. But what I do remember, it's still, you can still feel that was a socialist and communist country, Lithuania. So every time I see when the US flirts with socialism, it says more welfare, more people, let's print money, let's give away those money. I know exactly where it's going.
Yeah.
And the US citizen especially, they have to just look a little bit more south and take a look at the Argentina.
Yeah.
And it's not like for 5 years Argentina was this way, or 10 years, or 2 decades.
Yeah.
70 years, it's not working. But still, we're saying like socialism. Yeah, everyone is equal. We should print money, give away a lot of money, as much as we can, which is not working.
We're not talking about, I mean, it's very difficult to measure corruption because there are no statistics on corruption, but I feel it's been one of the most corrupt governments in history. There are videotapes.
Of the world.
We have even videotapes, public, from like top politicians, just, you know, putting like huge chunks of dollars into a bag. There's like letters from insiders. There's so many proofs, so much proof, and nothing has been made that it's clown work. Even and I mean, I don't know if this new guy is going to be able to execute what he says, and of course he's extremely extremist.
Yeah.
On some things, and I'm not aligned to every single idea because, of course, it's extremely extreme.
But the pendulum has to swing both ways. If
That's the problem with the humans is that we don't learn by small adjustments.
Yeah.
It's usually pendulum. It's like full on left and then full on right. Oh, that is too much. Oh no, we have to go back to full on left, and then slowly. And this has happened over this is our behavior as a human race over the past, I don't know, centuries or forever. So we slowly start finding a center with extreme swings over the pendulum. So I think this is unluckily, I don't believe that extremist position is healthy in any situation in life, but it's a way that we learn. And then let's see, just as a theoretical point, let's say if this is extremely right, then people are not going to like it because it's too much, and then it's going to be no, we need a little bit less, and then ideally, and that's why I'm very centered. I don't love extreme Republicans. I don't love extreme liberalists. I don't love extreme leftists. I don't love extreme rightists. It doesn't make any sense. It's not the way we live our life. We need to find a way that is balanced. How do we find a balance? By going to extremes and saying, oh, this is too much, this is too much, this is too much, maybe here. And that takes decades or centuries.
But have you noticed that nowadays the world is so extreme? For instance, you're either a drug addict.
Yeah.
Drug addict. I'm not saying fentanyl, heroin, but drugs like OxyContin, etc. So you're either a drug addict or you're one of the healthiest person on the world, right?
Yeah.
So either you're working out and you look good, or you're obese and you're 300 pounds plus. So it's almost nothing in the middle left, especially after 2020 and the pandemic. You're either pro-vaccine or you're against it. Yeah. You can say, maybe one shot, I'm not going for the second one, and say, you're either this or either that.
Yeah.
So that's the exact thing that you were talking about, so dividing the people.
Yeah.
If you're not with me, you're against me.
Yeah. I think
in
it's
all
on purpose.
areas of life.
I think it's on purpose. I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but I think it's just on purpose. It's a great way to divide society and to redirect the attention from important matters. Because if whoever's ruling the world or every single country, it's easier for you and me to be discussing, pro-vaccines, no vaccines, pro-vaccines, no vaccines. And then
in the meantime, they're doing their stuff.
They're doing their stuff.
They're putting those money into the bags and like, see ya.
Yeah, like go talk about socialism or right, left, or wing, or that, and then they're doing their own stuff. So, after so many years of being very involved and being very, very, I don't know, like feeling a lot of pain of being so involved on, what's right, what's wrong, I have found progressively, I'm not completely out there yet, to just focus on my life and become my best version possible, create the best life possible. Because the world, it is abundant, and we have a lot of opportunities, and there's still a lot of freedom. And then impact, and the best version that I can become myself is the one that can impact others in the best possible way, without putting so much attention into politics situations. Because at least I see it for most people, but I'm going to talk about myself. It really drains my energy.
It is
because it's perverse.
Yeah.
It's like when I see nutrition in the US, it's like, what the fuck? It has to be a plan.
It can be this way just by an accident.
It's like Americans are one of the smartest guys around. They're not stupid, especially the ones that lead the country and lead corporations. When you see nutrition in the US and how sick the population is in terms of obesity, heart problems, heart diseases, diabetes,
you name it.
You name it. And when you see every single nutrition fact of every single food, it's purpose. They know it. It's not like I just found something extremely because I'm so smart that I found it. It's like it's obvious, especially with kids in schools. So my only conclusion is this has to be part of a plan. Because it's too obvious that it's unhealthy as fuck. It's not like it's just slightly, It's not biohacking. It's like, we could optimize 2%. It's like, don't kill people. You're killing people every single day. So, because as you can see, I can get very involved and it drains my energy a lot. I try to focus on how can I become my best version so I can impact the most people. And I've seen both. When I get too into these political matters, my energy is drained, and then what's left, to be my best version with my family, with my friends, and with the community, versus when I focus on my life, my mental health, my physical health, and that has been the past years. That's why I started coaching other entrepreneurs, because I was able to get my shit together, I'm almost 40, and I feel the youngest and the best I've ever felt, and that's why I feel I can support and help others in a more sustainable way. I always love. Have you heard about this analogy of what's the difference for the breakfast? What's the difference between the chicken and the pork?
No.
Or the pig?
No.
The chicken helps and supports the breakfast, but the pig compromises. eggs and bacon. With the chicken, they can still lay eggs and support the breakfast for quite some time. The pig can only get as much bacon as he can.
Yeah. Once it's laid, that's it.
Step. So I've been a pig, putting bacon, just being such a good guy and helping some others, but I was losing a part of my body, and now I've found a way to, because in the beginning I thought it was egoistic, like how could I focus so much on myself if there's so many people in need? But there's a huge fallacy in that, and it's almost a cliche, but it's so real. If you can't help yourself, like the fuck are you doing trying to help others? First start with yourself.
Yeah, but what if your students show the great results? For instance, you're messed up physically, for instance, but you help a lot of people to get in shape, so your students speak for themselves.
Are you talking about like a personal trainer? What do you mean by students?
Everything. So, for instance, you're saying, I'm gonna say, I'm a coach. I help entrepreneurs to earn a lot of money, but I'm broke, right?
Yeah.
Myself, I'm broke, but my students, whom I coach, show the results. So it doesn't matter whether I'm broke.
Sure, it's not usually the case.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not usually the case. That could be an outlier. If you're so good teaching others to make money, it's completely inconsistent that you're not making money. There's something that's missing there. It's a red flag.
Maybe I have bad habits. I gamble, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. What I've seen is that usually that represents in some way. You're gonna be teaching toxic habits, or you're not gonna be. You will be teaching. Kind of this Andrew Tate model. You could be teaching people how to make money, but then they're going to blow it because you don't teach them financial responsibility or how to keep it. There's always a backdoor. That doesn't mean that you cannot help people when you're completely fucked up. What I mean is that the way to do it sustainably and to impact others in a sustainable way so that you don't project your own limitations is by starting with yourself. Same what happens with doctors. Especially, these, I love doctors and I have a huge respect for them. I'm very into the medical community, whatever. I'm very into biohacking. But when you see a doctor with a belly like this that's talking about nutrition, I'm like, I don't know what to say, man. I understand that you had to study a lot and it's a very hard career and they put a lot of effort and I'm very honored about that. But talk about something else. Talk about knees or the way the brain works. Don't tell me about nutrition. I just can't. I'm done with people giving advices that they don't follow themselves. It's not sustainable. And you haven't gone through that. And then, so the fat guy with the huge fat will tell you, like, you have to eat more veg and this and that. It's like, but if I love eating burgers, then you're not going to help me because you don't know how to do it. You cannot teach you. I know how to read a book of what's the ideal nutrition. But what do we do with the gap from that theory, from actual practice, if you're not even able to do it yourself by far? We're not talking about optimization, we're talking about extremes. So once again, this doesn't mean that if you're fucked up in a situation, that doesn't mean that you cannot help somehow others, but the way to do it in a healthy way and in a sustainable way, and a way that is also a virtuous cycle because you're doing it by yourself and then you're helping others, is by starting with yourself. Imagine a personal trainer that is fat, like it just doesn't work.
I have a better analogy. For instance, you don't have any kids, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. So I have a kid. So I remember my dad saying, you can't smoke. If I see you smoking, I'm going to beat the shit out of you, right?
Yeah.
5 minutes later, he goes and he smokes.
Yeah.
So he leads by example.
Yeah.
So that's the best thing. You say one, but do the other, it's not going to work.
At all.
You got to walk the talk. That's it.
And that's why we hate when we are kids, we freaking hate our parents when they do that.
Yes.
We hate them. I love my parents, but I discussed a lot. I fought a lot with my parents. I'm the older guy. So I would say with my two younger sisters, I have like 5 years younger and 10 years younger. I fought most of the battles in my family because they were very conservative. They are very conservative and very strict. I love them. But it was harsh teenage years. And I freaking hated when they were preaching what they weren't doing. It was the worst. And I'm not criticizing them because I think we we all as parents or future parents will fuck it at some point. It's very difficult. Nobody teaches how to be a parent, so it's normal, but still, it doesn't make any sense. And I can remember myself hating my father or my mother when they were preaching me something that they were doing the opposite. It's like,
same here.
Like, I don't care if I'm 8 or 12 years old. You're a freaking hypocrite.
Yes.
You're somehow blocking my freedom by imposing something that you're not doing yourself. And really, this really messed with my mind.
So that's the exact thing that is socialism and communism, right? They say what? Everyone is equal, right?
Of course.
But bro, no.
Then they have a Rolex.
Yes.
They go into Porsche.
Yes.
We should use public education and public hospitals, and they go to New York to have a surgery, and they it's the biggest BS.
Yes.
That's a problem. That's a reason why I try to get away from the word socialism, because if it would be socialism by definition, by the book, and say, hey, we really want to try this, we're going to do it exactly by the book. I'm not an expert on that, and haven't seen many real cases that they were saying like, okay, we're going to really do it consciously, and we're going to be really equal, etc. It's all bullshit. That's a problem. We cannot call it social, in my view. We cannot call it socialism because it's just a lie to steal money from the people, to make them more ignorant. That's why you can see that they screw whole generations, because they make them become dependent from the state by giving them just like a couple of bucks so they don't have to work, so that they don't study, so that they consume more drugs, so they're more ignorant, so that they pay for the votes, so it's easier to manipulate.
Win-win.
While they steal the money, while it's the country is more ignorant and more over years, over decades. That's why it's so difficult to steer it nowadays, because it's been decades lost. So it's complete bullshit. When you see people it rains and the whole city drowns, floods, sorry, and some people drown, and when you see nutrition levels are like the worst in life, like that's not real. And when you see politicians, they're using Rolexes and polo shirts, and I mean, right now our ex-president, we had the worst 4 years, I think, in almost, I don't know if in history, but in many decades, and they just released that the vice president, that was the ex-president, flew 200 private flights on the presidential plane. Each flight is $30,000. That for Argentina, it's way more than a year's salary. It's like a 10-year salary for some lower income workers, and just to fly around the country and go to her country house. That's the socialist leader. Yeah, it's complete.
Everyone
bullshit.
is equal. She's like
exactly
ordinary Argentinians.
So that's why this is not about a theoretical political discussion of if capitalism is better of socialism. I'm just saying that these people are just stealing people's money, and that's why right now this new candidate Milei won. He has very extremist views. Most of the people that voted him are not aligned with many things that he says, because it's too extreme.
But that's the only option.
But that's the only option. It's like, and he's a guy that is sometimes it feels like a psychopath, because he's like shouting, and he has a chainsaw. He has a chainsaw. It's mental to have a person like that. But people, because of this hatred that I was telling you in the beginning, that people have, it's a general hatred of the whole situation. They're like disgusted by the situation, the country situation, by whoever or whatever happened. We are in this situation, and people hate it because they recognize that they're, for some reason, in fact, even the ones that follow that political parties, they see that they're being fucked somehow, and they're pointing fingers. Maybe it was the other government, and they don't know what's happening, but they feel completely fucked. But they know that they're intelligent, they have a good degree, the country's amazing, people are amazing, the culture is amazing. Like, it's a huge inconsistency. So even that was the surprise of the numbers. This new guy won by I think 55%, or it was like, or 56%. It was like a record number for president. There were a lot of huge supporters of this leftish BS socialist parties, because they said like, this is not going anywhere. This is a lie. They have lied to us, and now we are presented to an extreme. An extremely extremist case that we don't even agree with, because it's too much. Some ideas are crazy, but it's the only way. It's the only option. It's either like we're completely fucked, or we try to change and we have at least a chance, but we can also fail a lot, because if this guy is such a psychopath, then you can have a president like that.
But can you get even lower? So the country in the last 30 years defaulted 9 times. Can you get even lower than this?
Have you checked Venezuela?
Yeah, Venezuela.
No, man,
that's a good
thing.
example.
That's the thing with Argentina. Every single year we say, okay, this is the floor.
Yeah.
Floor in terms of economic cycle. This is the bottom, right?
Someone knocks.
Yeah, it's like, but the problem with a country that is still doing like millions and millions and millions of dollars in every single number, there's still a lot to trim. There's still, I mean, food. We still have food in the supermarket. We still have jobs. I mean, there's a pretty big economy still running that you can always trim down, and that's what we have been experiencing over the past decades. Trim down. Well, it can't get any worse. Well, it can't get any worse. Well, it can't get any worse, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. So where's the bottom? We haven't found it yet. And even Venezuela hasn't found it yet.
You think so?
You can always go worse. So, I mean...
How bad can you go? Like Iran, under all the sanctions in the world?
Just check the numbers. If you still have 10% of the people that are eating every day, you can trim those people. It's not 100% poverty. So it's doomsday. I mean, like it's just a mathematical example, right? But you can with a country, you can always go worse until and this is just mathematical.
Will happen.
Sure. But there's been quite some revolutions over the past years in Venezuela, and they didn't work.
So this guy,
they put the opposite guys in jail.
Yeah.
Because they have so much power that they just can say, nah, out. But democracy.
But your guy Milei, a lot of people say that he's from the right. He's not. He's a libertarian.
Yes.
So this whole thing with the chalkboard and the afuera. So this means he's a libertarian because he says the less government, the better for the people.
Yeah.
Less control.
Yes, but we had a very bad experience with extreme right, 30, 40, 50 years ago, around the 70s, when we had a dictatorship.
Yeah.
From the right side, from the militaries that completely screwed it and started killing people, and it was like very, 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 very harsh. And now the left says that anything that is closer to the right are militaries and assassins, and they use it politically just to divide people and say whatever's even close to that, they're all murderers, and that's you just block a whole idea. It's like, imagine if you had this a Nazi government, and then whatever's closer to that, they're Nazis. It's like, no, it's not.
But that's exactly what they say here in the US.
Yeah.
If you like Trump, you're a Nazi.
You're a Nazi.
Literally, you're a Nazi.
And that's,
so they compare
that's what we're discussing, and when we're fighting, instead of saying like, hey man, like both extremes have no sense. Like what's the rationale here? Like what really benefits? Because this is not about benefiting one party or the other. Nobody's talking about the whole country. That's the main thing. It's the same as sports. Nobody cares about the game in sports. You care about your team or my team, or I care about my team. Nobody gives a fuck about the real game. I want to win. Like we're finally
world champions
in football or soccer here in the US, and like nobody gives a fuck about the other. Like Argentinians want Argentina to win. French people want France to win. That's normal in sports. That's what happens for me in politics. Republicans want Republicans win. Democrats want Democrats win. I never think. I mean, it's not nobody, but like I don't hear much about the whole country. Same in Argentina. And what happened with this political party is that most people got extremely fanatized by this political party. And even when they were stealing in their faces and when they had videotapes, they were still defending them. And I don't care who I vote. If I have a video that you show me that my president is stealing me, like, fuck that guy or that woman. I don't care.
That's prison for sure.
I don't care. You shouldn't defend your political party. You should defend the country, the well-being of your country, and then for your future kids and for your family. I mean, that's common sense. So
I remember one time I had a guest back in Lithuania. So he's from the UK and he's a banker. He's been doing business with Zimbabwe, right? So he is telling me this story. So in Zimbabwe for the last 50, 60, 70 years, the government is so corrupt that once people realize that it's so corrupt, they do a coup, they do a revolution. The new president comes in and he does not put his former president in jail. And this continues decades. You know why? Because he knows exactly when he goes and becomes the president, if he does not put the guy that was prior to him the president, the next guy that will come, he will not put him in jail. Yeah. Because he's going to get corrupted as well.
Of course.
So they steal as much as they can.
It's a high five. It's like, hey,
you got me.
Save my eyes,
bye
I
bye.
saw yours.
Yeah. This is my luggage with cash, with gold, with everything.
I know.
Bye bye, no problem. So that's the same thing.
That's why I love being on the private side and on the company side to build companies from the private sector and try to make. And I'm very involved in the entrepreneurial community because I feel that from my view it's a great way to add value in a healthier way, in a more sustainable way, and that's why I haven't been much involved with the public sector. I just do it from the private side. So
let's go to the entrepreneurial side. So I love your Instagram, right? So you said that you were on some kind of a seminar, and that's what inspired you to do Instagram, social media, LinkedIn, etc. So I want to go through some posts on Instagram, and I want to get some more details. So one of your posts says 8 biggest wounds of your entrepreneurial career. Number 1, greed is extremely expensive. Yeah. Not exiting soon enough is very costly. So why exit? For instance, if you have a business, a sustainable business that does profit, and it's not in the area just like Groupon or ClickOn was when there was
100%.
Like this and it goes like that, why sell?
Yeah, so once again, this is a learning from 20 years of experience in business in general. So when we're talking about selling or exiting, it's about every single situation that you're presented in your professional life that you can exit, sell, or stop something. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean only to sell your company. Even though I have a lot of experience when I could have sold our company, we could have sold our company many years earlier for way higher numbers. And because we were greedy, we said, nah, not yet. But usually this applies to finances. When you're riding a stock or crypto, whatever, and you feel like it's gonna go up, that's exactly the time to sell or exit. Sometimes about professional careers, sports guys, when like Messi, he just won everything and he's thinking like, should I just retire? I'm on the top of my career. Maybe this is the right time. Instead of like saying like, hey, I'm on the top of my career, then I have a lot to do. It's about partnerships. It's what I say is that develop a muscle of awareness and assessment to understand which table are you sitting at, like poker, and understand when it's time to exit. Could be because of market conditions that are not favorable anymore. Maybe you have a thriving business, it's profitable, it's not the up and down, but maybe the market conditions are changing, and you have to be analyzing that in order to see when to pivot. Because maybe exiting could be pivoting, could be exiting your current business model
to start a new one.
Or adapt it. But one of the most expensive lessons in my life have been, because there were many times where I had a sense that I had to sell something, exit something, terminate something, change completely something, but because I thought I could keep going, because I was in a good ride with a company, with a partnership, with an investment, with a career, I overdid it and I lost a ton of money, opportunity cost, or whatever, just by not, tuning into that instinct that was telling me, like, I think it's time to either move on or change or something. And because I was feeling the high, why would we do this? We're doing so well. We just came out of this huge crisis. Then this is our time, and maybe it is your time. That's the thing that you have to develop as an entrepreneur, to really gauge and assess your market, your company, your team, your mindset, your physical ability, whatever you're doing, to see if you're up for the next game. Because what we usually do is we see how we did before, and we feel that we usually project those conditions for the next stage, and then it's what changes. Maybe your mind has changed, your body has changed, the market conditions has changed, your partnership has changed.
Geopolitical situation has changed, economy has changed.
Exactly. So, what the phrase says is cliche, but it's true. Whatever brought you here may not get you to the next step. And every single time, most of us, we still commit that, do that mistake of thinking like, okay, I did this way from A to B, so then I could do this from B to C. And that's many times, not most of the times, but what I've seen, especially now that I've been coaching so many entrepreneurs, I see that there is some data, some information that is telling you, because if you are in a real kind of like successful business, the odds of being in a successful business are extremely low, extremely low. Like I coach founders that are doing between like $500,000 to $1 million a year in revenues up to 100 million. Very varied, because I don't focus on revenues. I focus on the situation that they're going through to navigate it. And every single time I hear that, because they are so talented, people are so talented to get into that position. It's so difficult. Difficult means that the odds of success to build a company so big after not only 1 year, just for to sustain it over years, is extremely low. It's like 0.01%. Most fail over that path. So if you're there, you have developed a lot of skill set and abilities, and what usually happens is that you have some data or some information that is telling you there's something missing here, something is changing, but because our mind says, no, just keep going, you just did it, keep going, instead of just sitting down and really assessing the situation, understand like, okay, what's telling me here, what changed, what are my abilities or my resources to go to the next phase, what are my weaknesses, where are my blind spots, where are my limiting beliefs. And most of them, because we are executors, we just keep pushing and pushing and hustling, and then until we hit the wall. So that's why stopping and going deeper on these things that you're starting to experiment, many times they will show you that there was something that you were seeing, but you were just choosing to not follow just because you were in this high. You're doing so well, I'm gonna just keep going. So it's not about quitting. I'm like the most persevering guy you will find. Like I can follow, and I have like decades goals. And not decades ago, I've been pushing things for decades just to get for one single thing. I never stop, never ever stop when I'm really sure about something. So it's not about just being blunt or quitting. But many of the mistakes or huge costs I see around entrepreneurs, and also I've seen myself, is that not following or not really assessing that insight that we had, that it kind of feels different. There's something that has changed. In order to say, okay, do we really want to keep pushing this hard given past experience? Does this past experience and hype will help us in this new stage? And we've seen it over the past years with the pandemic. Like, things have changed so abruptly in so many industries and within the years and the wars and everything, that I think that now it's starting to be a little bit easier to be gauging what's going on and say, okay, do I need to do this or that? Because you cannot just keep going straight. Things are changing so abruptly that we are being obliged to understand better what's going on and see if we need to change, exit, sell, pivot. Because if not, you're going to learn the hard way.
So it's interesting that you said that the fact that is that you have succeeded or you've made one business, it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
It's not saying that you're gonna do well in your next business. So that's why you only have a few true serial entrepreneurs, right? Like Elon Musk. So he has a few companies that they're all successful.
It's proven.
Yeah. But in the meantime, we have, for instance, Bill Gates, right? So he's one company. Yeah. That's it. And I don't think he would be able to pull it off and do another company as big as this one. So another big mistake of yours is extreme stress consequences. In 2016, we downsized 100 employees. Hardest year of my professional life ever. I developed tinnitus, the ear buzzing. So that's physically? You still have this thing physically from the stress?
Right now?
Yeah.
I'm hearing
all the time.
Right now.
It doesn't stop.
Never. It just goes ups and down, depending on stress. So it has become, like, luckily, I have reframed it as a gift. So for me, it's like a barometer of my stress and my recovery.
The louder it is, the more stress you feel?
The more stress I feel. It never goes completely off. So right now it's very low because I've been handling my stress and I work a lot with biohacking, sleep and stuff that I told you. But yeah, and funny though, my co-founder also developed it over that same year. He started with it, and 1 year, like 8 months after I started, and it may be with us forever.
Was there a moment when you were like...
One morning.
One morning? You just woke up?
It turned on.
10 years ago? 20 years ago? 15?
No, 5.
5 years ago.
Yeah, before I started my whole spiritual revolution, I went to travel around the world. My co-founder, during that extremely harsh year, we were doing $10 million a year. We just bought 2 of the largest companies in the country, one from the second largest newspaper, so it was a huge transaction for us. We bumped from 85 employees to 145.
Almost lost 100 of them.
And we not almost. We lost after.
You lost.
Yeah. So 145 employees, 3 companies. We're mixing the cultures. We're doing $10 million a year in revenues. We're in the top of the wave. And then because we relied, it was a very newsletter intensive business model. We were sending almost 1 billion mails per month, all opt-in. But we sent like 3 emails. I memean, the Groupon model was very email dependent.
1 billion?
Billion, yeah. Because we had 2 million users and we were sending like 3 emails per day per user. They were all opt-in, but it was a very email dependent. It's just how the business model went. 65% of our revenues were from newsletter over 9 years. So, and then I think Argentina, funny though, has I think like 70% of Hotmail. Hotmail from Microsoft is like very 90s, but most people still use Hotmail. So we got banned somehow. Some IPs got banned in Hotmail, so it was very difficult to get it done. So we lost almost 50% of sales overnight
because of the delivery rate.
Because of the delivery rate. No, the emails were just not being sent. So, and it was such a big company for us, 2 million users, that we couldn't just like pivot. I mean, we invested like $100,000 per month in Facebook ads, but we couldn't invest 10x that. We didn't have the margins. So yeah, we did like many war meetings with my co-founder, and we said the only way after 1 month, like this is gonna take 3 to 12 months to turn it around, like the revenues. And there was a low margin company, very high revenues for Argentina, but low margin. So there's no other way. We need to cut most overhead and be the leanest possible ever just to survive the storm. And yeah, we didn't have enough money. The labor loss because of this fake socialism party. The labor laws are extremely, extremely harsh. We had some videotapes or like emails that were showing that some employees were stealing from us. like
And you can
full
fire
proof,
them.
and you can fire them. And if you fire them, they will sue you and they will win. So like, how the fuck can you do business? I'm all in to, you know, protect employees and give them the best possible. Our company had 150 employees. Everyone was absolutely registered and paid in white. That for a third world country is like an anomaly, because
Yes.
it's a very informal. It's informal countries where even the state is one of the highest black paying, informal paying payers. So it's like madness. So I'm all in for you know, taking care of our employees, our teams, but we just didn't have the money, so we had to negotiate with every single one of them, and some were really valuable and we just couldn't keep them, but we needed to keep the company afloat and to save the other 50 families. And over that year, like, my co-founder started at Tinnitus, and it was very harsh because we were under extreme stress. So it's like, it just pumps the volume. It's like, it's a Chinese torture. And then my thing was insomnia. So I saw that his thing, you know, his main pain was this, and I saw him suffering. I was very compassionate because I could see him every single day with stress and hearing this and listening to white noise just to kind of compensate. But it was hell. And my hell was sleeping problems and back pains. So I thought, well, okay, I got my stuff. He has his stuff. I got my own stuff. So but I was very scared of getting it. And 8 or 9 months after,
You got
oh,
it.
no, sorry, 1.5 years after, because we had a good year afterwards. We were lean, 45 employees, super aligned. We implemented core values in the company, the core purpose. Everyone's like, we did an amazing year. And then after a huge crisis, we went as a partnership. I decided to associate the top managers to run the company. So because we knew that the country and the business was going down, so we needed to find something new to start, and we wanted to do something global. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go travel around the world to, you know, take a break and to find inspiration for a new global project based on impact and helping others. And 2 months before, you know, I was starting to sell an apartment and, you know, pack the bags and stuff. And I started to, you know, relax a little bit and tune into this new stage. And, you know, Tuesday morning, 10 a.m., I was sitting on my couch, you know, answering emails, and beep, it just turned on.
Someone just turned it on.
It was a button. And I'm like, what the fuck? No. I'm like, no. Because I was really scared that it may happen someday. And I have read a lot about it, that it's like 90% chance you will have it for the rest of your life. It's very difficult to. There are some, you know, very expensive therapies that maybe they can help you lower it, but it's like, hello to your new life. And I went to the doctor, I took corticoids, and I had some treatments, and I did more yoga, and I did acupuncture, and 10 therapies. Nothing changed. And then I've learned how to live with it, and now it helps me gauge my stress and energy levels, and that's why I'm so obsessed about sleep, recovery, having the right vitality, eating well, hydration, sports, everything, because the tinnitus is showing me my stress levels, and if it's too high, I need to cool down and take care of myself in order to, you know, win the long game.
Have you tried to shut it down with alcohol, drugs?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Doesn't help?
But no, actually, weed amplifies it.
Amplifies
Chemically.
it.
There's something, it's funny, but chemically.
It becomes louder?
Louder, yeah. You become more relaxed with weed, of course, because it's, you know, it's what happens when it's for weeks. But there's something chemically that it turns on the volume. So you're relaxed, but you're like, ee! Damn, that doesn't help.
You can get into paranoia.
Yes, luckily we are so advanced machines as human beings that the brain, in order to not get crazy, it starts kind of conceptually shutting it down. Kind of like when you live next to an airport or a train station.
Yeah.
That
it's not that kind of a noise to you.
It knows you, so the brain starts kind of like lowering your perception. The volume is there now, because when we were talking, I wasn't paying attention to it. Now that I have awareness, I'm like, yeah, it's there. So by shifting the attention, it helps, you know, forget about it. But the bad days, the very stressful days, it's very loud and I need to recover. So I go to a spa. That's why I'm very into hot tubs, spas, steam saunas, massages, everything that can, cool me down.
How about vice versa, cold plunge?
Yeah.
I saw you do it.
I love it.
It helps?
I love it. Yeah, but it's funny because cold plunges put you in an extremely stressful state.
Yeah.
Then to calm yourself down. So if you're under a lot of stress, it could be a double-edged sword. You have to be careful because it can trigger cortisol levels or some other stuff. I was doing cold showers, like ice cold showers for 9 months. Back in Argentina, I had a lot of stress, so it was giving me a lot of back pain. So my doctor told me, like, dude, you're already under a lot of stress. Just do hot stuff, right now we need to help you to lower down. Right now, and I'm at a better state, so that's why I do cold plunges. I actually like doing the contrast therapy, like cold and steam, cold and steam, and hot. So yeah, but that's why it helps me cool down and reduce that tinnitus.
Man. Yeah. Another wound of yours is if you don't have problems, you don't have a business.
Yeah, that's a harsh one. So
the question is, can you really have a business without having huge problems? Or it comes...
No.
It comes together.
And this is the reason. I'm a problem solver. And you too. Like executors and entrepreneurs are problem solvers. That's kind of like what we do. So I've seen this happen to me, and I've seen it with many entrepreneurs. We get obsessed about solving everything because we don't like problems. We want to solve them. That's why we get so good at solving problems. We do because we don't like it. It's very painful, and we're good at it. So I started getting obsessing about having the perfect company, no problems at all, because every single, especially when you're kind of like a new company in the first 5 to 10 years. 5 to 10 years still a new company. Like companies that really succeed are almost like 20, 30 years. Yeah. First 5 to 10 years, it's still a startup, yeah. even though it's not like the first year that it's a complete startup. But it's like it's older. If you have your kid is what, 6?
5.
5. I mean, it's not a baby, but it's still
it's not a grown up.
It's not grown up, It's like, sure, it's not gonna die in every second like a 3-month-old baby that you have to take care about every single thing, but still, you cannot sustain it by itself. So the concept here was, I was obsessed about having the I knew that every single big huge problem could sink us, and that's fearful. Because, you're all in this project, you're putting all your money, your reputation, your career, your dreams, and you know that one problem, and we saw it in COVID, it was like a killer for many businesses, you're out of business and you're really fucked. So every single huge problem is a potential death situation for the company, right? And I had, luckily, I 10 years ago, I co-founded EO, Entrepreneurs Organization in Argentina, the Argentine branch. EO is one of the largest entrepreneurial communities, non-profit communities in the world, 18,000 members. You need to sell $1 million per year. And it's very oriented to peer-to-peer learning. So I was feeling very lonely when I was 29. I didn't have mentors. I didn't have anyone to learn from. I was just watching YouTube videos, learning from people I loved. So we started this, the Argentine branch, and now it has grown a lot. So I got one of my business mentors from that community, a guy that was like 10x my size and my experience and everything. And he told me like, dude, if you have because I was telling it, now we have this problem, and now we have this problem, like it never ends. I was pitching about, there's always something happening.
Wait.
He told me like, the reason why you're a business is because you have problems. If you don't have problems, you don't have business. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that's too simplistic. What do you mean about that? And then I understood, and this is for me, it's like very simple and yet very deep, is that one of the main things that people are paying you money
is because they have problems.
Is to solve the problems that they don't want to solve.
Or can't.
But I believe in human potential. So let's say you don't have a milk company and you don't have your own cows. But if your life was in danger, if your kids' lives was in danger, I would tell you will find a way to get milk.
Yeah.
You go to a countryside, you will find a cow, and even though if you don't know how to milk a cow, you will find a way to milk.
Yeah, but if you're a lawyer or a CPA,
Yeah.
You're one of a kind. You can solve problems that CEOs can solve the problems.
Sure, but nowadays, even with YouTube and stuff, you can learn some stuff. Like, once again, remember this. This is a simple, and then starting a career is a problem, meaning that you need a lot of time and effort to do it. But you could do it. You can become a CPA. It's not impossible. You could become a doctor.
Yes.
It's just a huge hassle.
Yeah.
You need to read a lot of books, go to a lot of courses, have a lot of experience. And with companies in general, with non-professional service, with companies, most companies are just handling teams, setting a goal and managing people.
Yeah.
That's like in a very, very extremely simplified way. You have a goal, you get some people, you organize people, you organize yourselves, and you go get that goal.
Yeah.
That goal would be get some manufacture milk, or industrialize milk, or create cars,
Sales
or
departments, accounting departments.
Just put people together to work. And when you put people together to work, there's a lot of problems going on, and it's painful problems. You have to get people to get each other to speak the same language in terms of the company, go to the same goal, align the expectation, like the salaries, get investment. It's a problem, but people eventually could do it. We don't need that, but it's very painful to solve those problems. So if it would be so easy to run your company, then too many people would be doing it, and not most people. And most people that are in 9 to 5 jobs that don't love it, they just do it because it's it's what they chose to do, and maybe it's too painful or too difficult to do something else. But if it would be extremely easy to run a company, then they would do it.
A successful company.
Successful, yeah. Most people don't like their jobs. So right now, like for example, with this content creator economy, suddenly most people can become influencers or create content because it's easier. Before, you need to have a television company, to produce content.
Yeah, but only 1% succeed.
Yeah.
Because it's so
Yes,
hard.
but they have a chance. If they put enough work and enough effort, they have a chance.
That's what capitalism is all about.
Yeah.
Give me a chance.
Yeah.
In socialism, you don't have any chance. In communism, you don't have
Exactly.
any. Take a look at this. If you don't have problems, you don't have a business, correct?
Yeah.
So if you don't have obese people, you don't have a pharmaceutical business.
Oh yeah, well, that's the basics, of course.
But the problem is, if you don't have customers, you can create them.
Yeah.
Sell them shitty food.
Yeah.
Then they have problems, then they will buy your products.
Yeah.
That's it. And if you own 2 companies, if you own the food company that is full of crap, full of shit, that is addictable, that is addictive, you can't stop eating potato chips, drinking soda, etc. So they buy this non-stop.
Yeah.
Then the health gets worse and worse and worse. Then they buy your pharmaceutical products, and they can't stop doing this as well. You're in a profit.
Yeah.
Huge profit.
100%.
The margin is like what?
Yeah.
To the roof.
Yeah.
Types of energy vampires. The narcissist has an inflated sense of importance and a need for admiration. So narcissists can be both your spouse, your friend, your CEO, your employee,
Or yourself.
or yourself. Who was a narcissist in your situation?
I had an ex-partner, an ex-girlfriend. I had an ex-partner and a business partner, and I also feel I was listening to a podcast the other day that said that that there's a big correlation with successful entrepreneurs and some kind of narcissism.
Yeah.
Because usually, once again, this is a generalization. It's not every single case. But you need to be kind of mental to be an entrepreneur, to be successful, and to keep pushing. Even when you're losing hearing and you may be broke and you will feel that the world's crumbling, you still keep pushing. For just a business, it's kind of crazy for most people. So there has to be some kind of ego involved and some kind of ambition and some kind of narcissism. So I like also to check myself in. Checking myself, when am I being a narcissist? Because of course, when things go well, I love what we do and I love the success. So I use this analogy also to keep myself in check when I'm being too narcissistic, or when I'm being too egoistical, or when I'm being too egocentric.
So your ex-girlfriend was a narcissist. How did it look like?
It's a complicated topic.
Give me one example. So maybe someone is watching is like, maybe that's
attention horror, as they call it. It's like everything's about her, and she's the main thing, and then the main on the stage, and all the problems are about her, and all the life has to surround.
It's me,
her.
me, all about me.
So it's not a partnership.
Yeah,
it's not a 50 somehow. It's not an equal partnership. Love relationship is like it's all about that person. But I'm not blaming. I've been a narcissist in some periods of my life. So I think this is just.
I believe all of us were.
Exactly. So I think it's for me this is a good conversation starter, not to point fingers to other people, but also to see when we are being, because in different situations of life we may feel even when you're humble or not, there's always something going on. It's part of the survival. You need to take care of yourself. You need to like what you're doing. You need to love you need to love yourself. Cliche. But so there's a fine line when you start liking too much yourself, your job, your house, your car, your life, whatever. And it helps you keep in check.
Just like we said before, like the pendulum, right? I hate myself. I adore
I'm
myself.
the best.
Boom, right in the middle.
Yeah. But like artists, or rock stars, it's very they're all extremely narcissist, but part of that is also their success. They're like these rock stars, Taylor Swift and this and that. I know if Taylor Swift is, but I'm just saying like these extreme stars where people love, then they have to have some kind of so there
how
is
can't
some
you when people adore you?
Yeah.
When you have tens and
Exactly.
millions of followers.
So it's very difficult, and then it's a good reminder to keep ourselves in check, because that's when the ego gets in control of your life, and that's when we fuck it up.
Another type of energy, according to you, is the victim. So they're perpetually the victim and see their problems as unsolvable. So do you think that's why, first of all, are there a lot of victims in Argentina?
Oh yeah, I think that's why people complain so much, because they feel that happened to them instead of owning it.
Yes. Do you think that's because of socialism? Because the state takes care of them?
Yeah, of course. The paternalism.
So
I believe in meritocracy. It's the way that human race is kind of designed somehow is for survival and replication. In order to survive, you need to hunt, you need to take care of yourself, you need to be good at what you do in order to survive. This is basic nature. If you have someone that is feeding you every single day, it's great to feed our kids.
Yeah, when they're
like 5 years old. But imagine that if you had a kid that is 50 years old and you're changing his clothes and feeding him and bathing him, he's gonna be a daddy boy. He's not gonna be an adult that can compete in the outer world. And yes, as humans, we are competing, even though we're helping each other and we have organizations and we have ethics and moral and stuff. Still, we're competing. That's why every single person has different kind of money and different kind of social status, and it's also represented on the value that they're adding to the planet.
But if it's a fair competition, it's good. For instance, right now I'm competing with all the other podcasters, all other 100%. YouTubers, movies, sports, etc. So people right now that are watching, they decided they want to spend 2 hours watching our podcast, not the sports event, not go outside.
And it's for some reason, because you're putting the work.
Yes.
And you've done 400 podcasts before, so you're putting in the work. So you're earning your space. Nobody gave it to you. You earned it.
But in socialism, if I wouldn't be successful, I'm not successful right now with this new podcast, with this new channel, right? So in socialism, I would go to the government and say, hey, I'm a poor baby, I don't earn money, I don't have many guests, and they would say, no problem.
Yeah.
Here's not even $1,000, here's 10,000 new subscribers. Take it. I didn't earn it. Okay. After a month, I would go the same thing. I'm still not successful. Here's another 10,000 of new subscribers, and I have nothing, and I have no idea what to do with those.
The problem is that your quality is going to be shit.
Yes.
The problem is that you're not addressing the main problem. Your main problem is not the lack of subscribers. Your main problem is that your quality. It's not your case, right? But
the content.
The content is shit.
Yes.
And because we don't want to face that, because we need to go through a painful process in order to see what's working and what's not working, that's what happened with my content, actually. I was doing Instagram videos, and because I was relying mostly on ads for my coaching company, my videos were not amazing. I was trying to do something good, but they were not amazing, and I wasn't very intentional, and I wasn't getting enough traction. Until I went to this mastermind.
It switched, yeah. You can see it on Instagram. It's like
yeah.
Day and night.
Yeah.
Structured.
And exactly. I went to this mastermind. Matt, shout out to Matt Gray, my personal mentor in personal branding. My mentor in personal branding. And I said, okay, I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to put the hard work. I'm going to do real posts. I'm going to sit down, write them. I hate writing. I hate taking notes. I never took notes in university. I just don't write. I just like to remember stuff and to talk about stuff. That's my thing. Not writing down or sitting down. I have a pretty big case of ADHD. So I have a lot of abilities in multitasking, but when I have to go very deep and silent to read a huge book or study or write, and it's extremely painful and difficult for me. But
without that noise in your head.
Especially.
Yeah.
Especially. So... But, I was among these 10 amazing entrepreneurs, and, Matt, and he showed his numbers and how he completely changed his game in 1 year, got to 2 million followers in different and aggregated from all social networks, just because he was really putting good content. I loved his content before I met him. And I said, okay, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to switch mostly to LinkedIn because I coach founders and executives that, of course, they mostly hang there. And I'm going to be very intentional for quite some months. I'm going to do my best. And over the past 2 months, I've been very intentional with my content. I sit down, I block many hours per week. No calls, no distractions, no notifications. And I sit down and write. I don't know how to write. I had never written before. English is not my first language. And still, and my ADD gets crazy when I do that, because I'm like, I want to browse tabs, I want to talk to people, I want to, shoot a video, whatever. No. You're going to sit down, you're going to write, and you have to, and I only have 2,800 characters in LinkedIn, so you cannot just start talking. You have to be very concise.
Specific.
And then every single post is like a product shipped to the market. And if people don't like it, they're not going to buy it. So you have to improve every single day, because if not, you're out of business. So every single day, I produced 60 pieces of content over the past 2 months. I produced almost 250,000 impressions. And I gained 1 or 2,000 followers. I started very, very small. And I closed more than $50,000 in deals over the past 2 months, only because I sit down, I put the work, and I earned it with a lot of pain. A lot of pain. Every single post that you like and you're saying comes from a lot of pain from two sides. First, from the pain that I went through, that I share my story, my wounds and stuff. And second, from the pain that it brings me to have to sit down and really do it in a good way.
So types of energy vampire. So the narcissist, the victim, the controller, the drama queen or king, the critic, observe. Then you go for the how to solve it. Do you think you can find a person, a spouse, for instance, a person in your life, a friend, a spouse, an employee that is not going to be any one of this?
Yeah.
Nor the narcissist,
it's a great question. So even though the post seems like a frame, and I understand that some people may really overuse one of these characters and be a victim most of the days. What I've seen with this energy vampires idea or analogy is that first, we can feel or become those persons in different situations, in different settings, and you don't need to be only one. You can be a little bit of a narcissistic one day, or a little bit of a victim another day. You don't need to be just a victim. Some people are just victims every day, and that's because they have what we call in ontology outside locus of outer locus of control. You have internal locus of control, people that own their life and say, I can change this, and outer locus of control. Oh, this happened to me.
Reactive, proactive.
Yeah. So my answer for that is yes, everyone is, and I think I have been that energy vampire in different situations, not every single time. The hack, and this is the main topic that I talk in my post, is personal development. I am obsessed about personal development. Over the past 15 years, I've done almost any therapy that is out there. I invested multiple six figures into my own personal development. We are our most important asset, that we have the highest ROI in your life. Right now I work with 8 world-class coaches in every single area of life. Invest 5 figures every single month on my own success and personal development. And because life is sometimes so difficult, and we are into so many projects like business, your family, your travels, like situations, traumas, we need to have the right team to support us and to develop us in order to be fine-tuning every single situation and challenge that we are faced, so that we don't become a victim, we don't become a narcissist. And these coaches and mentors, professional mentors and coaches, are the ones that will help you say, okay, you just sold your company, you did $10 million, then you're becoming too egocentric, or it's too much about you, or you're becoming a narcissist. What can we do about this? Or if you're in an extreme challenge and you're being a victim, you already know, when you're out of that problem, you know that being a victim is not going to take you anywhere.
Yeah.
But when you are in such pain, it's normal to sometimes feel a victim. Like our second company, a tree planting company, Tree Ocean, we lost 90% of sales overnight, March 2020. We were about to sell $1 million in the first year. We sold in 60 countries. March 2020, who the fuck was going to plant trees? Retail going to plant trees March 2020 with COVID. I could have said, like, COVID killed my company. That, oh man, market conditions change, then it's a new time for business.
So right now you see yourself as a business, right? If in business something is wrong with the product, you tweak the product.
Yeah.
You change it, maybe tweak a little bit. Something wrong with the sales, you do this. If
100%.
something wrong with the content, okay. Something wrong with the physical stuff, maybe the office and such. So you see yourself as a business, your body, your mind as a business. Something wrong with your energy, tweaking this, like this. Something wrong with the sleep, right here, with the money, right here, with the relationship, with friendships, with networking.
It's funny that if you have a business, you are absolutely sure that you need to have the best A players in your management team, the best sales guy, the best finance, the best that you can, right? The best that you can afford and you can find, you can source and you can inspire, the best operations guy, the best HR guy, in order to have the best company possible. But for our life, and I say that business is part of your life, life is 360, everything in your life, your family, your health, everything in your life, we try to do it by ourselves. Except when we have an extreme problem with something, we go to a doctor. I have my personal board of A players supporting me on every single area of life. Business, mental health, ontology, spirituality, sexual energy, nutrition and weightlifting, personal branding, and hormones and biohacking. I have my board of A players that are supporting me, because I'm not an expert on medicine, I'm not an expert on nutrition, I'm not an expert on weightlifting, I'm not an expert on spirituality. So why would I do it by myself? And that's why I push and I try to inspire people to get coaches, mentors, consultants, and advisors that can help you get to the next stage on that area, spirituality, mental health, physical health, whatever you're trying to achieve. Because if life is a game, anything that you want to achieve can be achieved through personal development. Personal development could be business development, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to improve your business? Just hire a business coach, listen to a podcast, read a book, go to a sales course. You want to improve your relationship? Get a relationship coach, read a book about love.
Know how to communicate.
Learn how to communicate, learn how to, have an intimate relationship, listen to a podcast about, long-term relationships. It's so, the information and the experience is out there. When you're feeling lost, when you're feeling stuck, when you don't know what to do, when you just completely baffled, just reach out and find a person that knows it already, has gone through that is doing professionally, and done. That's why, I may I could have seen this swift shift from Instagram to LinkedIn and the content creation stuff, and by myself, if I read books or listened to podcasts, but it would have taken me many years or money or energy. I just went to one of the worst leaders and sat down and say, hey, how do I do it? It's like, here's my plan. This is how I did it. It took me 1 month to change my game, because I was humble enough to say, I don't know how to do it. I'm going to ask the expert. I'm going to ask for help.
Yeah,
it gets very easy once you start doing it, and you don't need much money. There's always someone in your community, like cheaper professionals or people that will be willing to help you for free if you reach out. So my inspiration is like, if you cannot pay for the world-class coaches, just find someone that will support you to get to the next stage, because you don't have to do it by yourself.
So a few minutes ago, you've mentioned that every post that I read and that everyone can find on your Instagram came through a lot of pain, physically and mentally as well. So one of your posts says, success masking pain. It's not all happiness on the backstage. All successful, as many founders may look like, we're suffering inside. In this picture 2 years ago, I was fighting a severe libido loss for 1.5 years due to extreme stress caused by
Yeah.
Libido loss?
Yeah, that was one of my most successful posts.
You were like, what, 30 years old at that time?
No, I'm 39. So this was between 36 and 38, something like that. It's very recent.
So you're on top of your game as a man, as a male.
Yeah.
And you experienced this.
And not only that, I had met, after 20 years of looking for someone, for a relationship, like the right relationship, I have found the love of my life, which I'm engaged nowadays to. And I was extremely in love. She is freaking perfect. Like, she said, my dream come true. And we had just moved to Bali to live together, Indonesia. And my company was doing, the tree planting company was doing amazing. And then we were thinking of moving to the US, but I was completely disconnected. I've been a pretty sexual guy throughout my life, and I was like zero, like done, like dead inside, like libido wise.
And it happened like this once again, just like with the noise.
It was strange. It was, of course, like very pressing times. I had been on a very a deep spiritual path. Before I met her, I was traveling around the world for 8 months to find inspiration for this tree planting company. So for 3 months, and I knew I have some toxic traits or habits that I wanted to change. So I went 3 months. I was traveling through India and Indonesia. I went 3 months of like celibacy, 3 months of non self-pleasure, masturbation. Also became vegetarian back then. Now I'm in a very high animal protein diet, but I was 2 years vegetarian after that. I was meditating 1 or 2 hours per day, and I was preparing myself for a Vipassana retreat. It's the strictest Buddhist monk retreat, 110 hours of meditation in 10 days, no speaking, no writing, no technology, no looking in the eyes, nothing. And I also did a 10-day water fast over those 10 days, so I didn't eat over those 10 days, just water. So I was in a very deep cleansing way, and then the country was doing, Argentina was doing very bad in 2018 or 19. Had to go back and sell the company with my partner, and that was extremely stressful until we were able to sell it. It was a great transaction, and we did it, but it was a very stressful times. And then we moved to Indonesia, so that was amazing. But once again, it's like moving again, and selling everything, and it's big. You moved from Lithuania to here, even though it's amazing, it's quite a stress. You need to sell everything, buy stuff, green card, and then I started doing pretty well. Bali for me is like a really nice place, so I was more relaxed. And then the pandemic hit, and it's the pandemic was extreme. I mean, I think we haven't even understood how harsh and deep how impactful the pandemic and the lockdowns and all things. And my personal view, and this is just a ballpark, I think that many of the problems that we're seeing nowadays is just like the ripple effects of how we, the earthquake.
Let's wait till the kids will grow up.
Well, exactly.
That suffered the most.
Yeah. from confinement and stuff. So we had to move back. Well, had to. I mean, we're leaving Bali March 2020, lost 90% of sales. Once again, I'm like, oh, fuck, not again. Luckily, we had learned how to scale down the company. We had developed a company that was ready to scale up. We were scaling up very fast, but was also ready to scale down because we had lived our own pandemic back in 2016. So we decided to move back to Argentina, March 2020, to be closer to our parents. When COVID hit, we didn't know what COVID was. You know, Italy was like, people were dying in Italy. So we didn't know if this was Ebola. So we ended up in one of the strictest quarantines in the world. You couldn't even go out to walk in the street, only just for groceries. We had a really nice studio apartment, but it was only 500 square feet, 50 meters, no divisions. For during 7 months, I lived with my fiance in a space like this and a room upstairs with no divisions. So if like when I had my psychotherapy sessions, she went to the bathroom and took a shower for an hour just to not hear because we couldn't get out. It was mental. And then moving to the US, also, you know, during the pandemic, we had to apply for the green card and stuff. You know, we live here in Los Angeles. It's one of the most expensive places in the world. So it was also a huge bump on expenditure. So I think when I really felt it was during the pandemic. That was so harsh. Before with the company stress, I was feeling that I wasn't completely there. But mostly was when we moved to Argentina, pandemic, and then the US, and then financial struggle and stuff. It was mind fucking because I was recognizing that I was in front of my dreamt woman ever, but I was completely shut down. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, and I had gone through so many crises in my life, and ups and downs and stress, that I have quite experience on crisis, but not on this one. I thought that this one was covered. I'm good on that side.
It hit you from all the angles.
All angles, and it was mind fucking because I didn't know what to do. I'm like, how do I solve this? I started trying stuff, and once again, what got me out there? 3 or 4 professionals. I was working on my hormones and biohacking with my endocrinologist biohacker. My testosterone was very low. By the way, there's a huge epidemic on low testosterone. If you're a male between 20 and 40 years old, you should check your testosterone. It may be way lower than you think. And that may be impacting in your performance and also in your day-to-day, because testosterone is important for performance. Yeah, execution, sports,
the way you look, how much strength you have.
Yeah, exactly. My mental health coach that was addressing the stress and the pain that I was going through, and the doubts and the worries and the fears, and also a spiritual coach that was helping me, because I was very sensitive all that time, was meditating a lot. So, and I'm like, okay, I'm maybe too, right now with this context, I'm too honed into spirituality. I need to be more present in this world, more, carnal. I changed my diet. It's not a recommendation. This was for myself, but I started eating a lot of red meat back again, especially being Argentinian, where steaks and wine are huge, the best.
Even in Lithuania, they sell Argentinian steaks. Yes, and they know that's top notch.
Yeah, and then with my business coach, we started executing to help me get back on track on the business I was developing, so to start having better results and a better economic situation, to be able to have a thriving life in one of the most expensive neighborhoods in Los Angeles. That was quite a challenge in the beginning, because coming from Argentina, it's a very low income country. Even when you're successful, your success is way lower on average than a successful entrepreneur that would be here, and a lot of communication. And we did some therapy sessions, couple therapy sessions with my fiance to improve our communication. And yeah, eventually I really got it back full on, but it was like 18 months.
So vegetarianism or veganism doesn't help with the testosterone, right? Yoga, meditation doesn't help. Going through
it's not that it doesn't help. It's like, once again, this is very personal because I don't want to be controversial. It may help you. I was very into spirituality over that time, and this is a little bit more energetic, so it's difficult to explain. But when you learn about being extremely earthly and worldly in like eating a lot of food and going to the gym and buying stuff and a watch and a car versus meditating 24 hours a day and not leaving this body. There's a dance where you have to learn I don't say that yoga or meditation is not going to help you your testosterone, but in my case, I felt a little bit more disconnected from my body because I'm learning how to handle the sensitivity and the spirituality in order to be also to live a productive life. So in my case, because I was meditating so much, I feel a little bit disconnected. So I wanted to come back to this 3D world.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you say yoga, it doesn't necessarily say that yoga doesn't help with this, but for sure what does help is squats, deadlifts,
100%.
Push-ups, pull-ups. This really helps. Eating red meat, red steak, that helps. You can't deny it. You just can't.
Yeah.
You can
and
neglect
it's been attacked because I think that we're not addressing the processed foods and the cereals and all the junk food that we eat, and then we blame red meat for fucking up our heart instead of just having a whole food, healthy nutrition with high animal protein. Once again, it's very context dependent, so each person has to. But that's why my recommendation is not to eat more meat, is to go to a nutritionist or someone that can really help you understand your body and what's going to help you. In my case, vegetarianism didn't work. And right now I'm into a high animal protein diet.
It's protein and fat.
Exactly. Has fat. I try to aim to 1 gram per pound of weight, so around 200 grams of protein per day. So I start my day with three eggs, three organic pasture-raised eggs, every day, either organic poultry like chicken breast or red meat, grass-fed meat, or some wild-caught fish.
You know what I figured out is it's not about the calories or it's not about the protein grams. It's about the quality, right?
Yeah.
You can eat 50 grams of protein, but it's going to be a shitty one. Yeah. Or you can eat 20 grams of red steak. Red steak that has 20 grams of protein. It's going to be way better for your body than this piece of shit that you ate before. So true eggs, red steak, salmon, wild caught salmon. Not the Norwegian stuff, because it's poison. It's not that good, but it's poison, true poison. It's one of the most poisonous.
And we invest a lot of money, and we say invest a lot of money in food. And many times, if we have to cut expenditures, we cut either going out, going to concerts, traveling.
Yes.
But we keep investing on food, and we also love it. So it's a win-win. But we try to eat as best as possible because we see in our bodies. It's incredible. It's like a complete correlation.
You feel it. Maybe not everyone can see it right away, but you can feel it right away.
Yeah.
After a month, you freaking feel it.
Yeah.
Because if you want, so my kid is 5 years old. Of course, he wants to eat some bars, chocolate, but you have a choice. You have a lot of other choices, 3, 4, 5 ingredients protein bars, right? Yeah. So from dates, almonds, and etc. But they're freaking expensive. They're 2 to 3 times more expensive than regular chocolate bars. Yeah. But that's the thing you gotta do. Another great post of yours is about ADD. Ever felt like your ADD is constantly impeding your productivity? I do. Here's the way I hack my ADD as a founder. And you tell in your post how you do it.
Yeah.
When did you realize you got this attention deficit disorder?
Even though I felt the symptoms for many years, even from back in college, like more than 20 years ago, when it was strange for me because, like in school, I was like the best student, I got gold medal, whatever. But it was super easy. So I'm like, it's okay. I mean, I was the best, or at least most of the years, but it wasn't such an effort. Then I got into the most difficult university, or the best university in Argentina, and the level was of course higher there because it was like the A league, the best league. And the first year and a half, I started having trouble on studying, and I wasn't doing good in grades. I'm like, so what's going on? Because I recognized I have some kind of intelligence. Like it's not that I lack intelligence.
You're not a dummy.
I knew. I mean, I am a dummy in some other stuff, but in this case, it's important. As an entrepreneur, you have to know what you're good at and what you're not good at. I was good at that stuff. I'm like, what's going on? And what I saw is that I just wasn't going to the classes. I wasn't reading the books. I wasn't doing the exercise. I just didn't want to be sitting down and listen or read. It was so boring for me. So I didn't put the work. I mean, I tried to, but I felt like I want to get out of here. I'm like, what's going on with me? I should be able to read more books. I can understand it. So and then once I developed a system, I started having great grades after the second or third year. But it was very painful. So so even though I've seen it throughout my whole life, I was never diagnosed. So I was only diagnosed like 2 years ago when I came to the US, and there's more of a diagnosis. And ADD is huge here. And my ontology mentor, one of the other coaches that I work with is ontology. Ontology is the study of the being. Psychology is the study of mind. Ontology is the framework that I use to coach other entrepreneurs. And she's 80 years old. She has 30 years of psychotherapy experience and 30 years of ontology experience. And she said, you know that you have a lot of symptoms that may show that you have a pretty interesting case of ADD. I'm like, no. And because I'm very biased that they're going to try to medicate me. I'm like, fuck you, like, fuck out of here. I'm going to take drugs to treat this. But after some time, I started understanding and connecting the dots backwards and say maybe that's the reason why most of my years I recognized I was a pretty smart guy, but sometimes I wasn't getting results just because I couldn't focus. And I'm like, what's right? I realize that my strength is being very smart on many topics, but then sometimes I may fail on continuous execution or depth, because I just want to go so deep in terms of like the amount of time.
Yeah, it takes more time.
And the focus that I need to put on. So having this awareness has helped me recognize it's not a weakness because it's also a strength for entrepreneurship, like doing a lot of stuff and being everywhere at the same time and thinking about every area of the company and every possible scenario and the markets and the products, nice and everything. But because we live in such an ADD world with notifications left and right and cell phones and, a shorter attention span and, I don't have to explain this to you. I think that everyone has not a medical degree of ADD, but some kind of ADD symptoms just because everything's pushed to lower your attention span. And the ones that we suffer from actual ADD, then we have to be very careful. So that's why I'm so into biohacking and performance. And one of the things that I'm doing is like, something that really helps me is like, for example, never use the cell phone in my room. The bed should be for sex or for sleep. So my cell phone doesn't touch my room. So I protect my sleep and I do a lot of sleep hygiene. I'm very into sleep. So I start the day with the right vitality in order to start, even try to, do stuff that may trigger my ADD, like writing posts. Mm-hmm. If I'm tired, if I drank alcohol the night before, if I did recreational drugs, or whatever happens, then you're done. Then no wonder you're not going to be able to dive deep. So I have created a lot of routines that really help me stay into that zone and go deeper. And I like that my performance coach tells me that I'm being very good because I'm helping others in such pressing times through crucial transitions and being consistent to be fighting and to be also navigating my ADD every single day and also being able to produce and being able to turn the page. That is being consistent in terms of I am connecting with that feeling that my client is having, and that's why I can support him. Because I'm also going through that in a different way.
You know exactly how it feels.
You know exactly how it feels, and I've proven myself also not only from the past 20 years of experience of all the ups and downs I've gone through that I shared a little bit with you, but also currently I'm connected to that feeling of like I can't, but I develop frameworks and tools that help me get to the other side.
So one of your point how to solve this problem is eat the frog.
Yeah.
So what I figure out, I'm 35. the best things in life are almost always the hardest.
Yeah.
Let's take the gym.
Yeah.
You can do squats and deadlifts, but you can do something in the machines.
Yeah.
But the result is not going to be the same, right?
So hard.
But when you do deadlift,
squats, and that's why you start with squats.
You freaking hate it. You're sweating.
I hate it.
That's too hard.
I've been doing it for 43 weeks, and I still haven't got the form. I don't have the right position yet. I'm like, how on earth can you do this for a year and still not get it? It's like, yeah, I don't have the
But in the meantime, you can go to a machine and do this.
Yeah.
Like extensions.
Yeah.
But it's not even in comparison how those two.
And that's why squats
exercises.
is my first exercise in the gym, because it's the hardest one for me. It's the one that I lift the most weight. So my trainer, that is like a world star of weightlifting, he puts it first. So you eat the frog first.
So exercising is one. Nutrition is two. You can eat some kind of a protein bar.
Yeah. Everything
is mixed. Everything is cool, but not cool. What cool is steak, eggs, etc. Okay, avocados, and etc. So then you can read a summary of a book, 15 minutes, or you can read the full book.
Yeah.
The result is not going to be the same.
The depth.
My biggest struggle is not that I am ADD or ADHD. I recognize that in some moments of my life I am this way.
Yep.
It's hard for me to concentrate. But what I figure out is I have to make it continuous. If I start reading a book, I have to finish it. Yep. If I start making a video, I have to finish it. If I started preparation for a podcast with you, I have to finish it right now, right away, not take my cell phone or etc. I acknowledge this. I'm 35. My biggest problem is my kids, because he is 5 right now. The moment he gets those 15 to 10 to 5 second videos, he's done.
Yeah.
But in the same time, I can't protect him from this world. But he's going to be 10, 15 years old. He's going to get his smartphone. He's going to get to those websites. He's going to get to that social media.
Yeah.
But
it's different. Like the way his brain is right now, being 5 is not the same when he's 15, that is not the same when he's 30. So everything that's being developed right now is so important. That's why most traumas are generated in the first 8 years of life. So yeah, it's not the same. And that's why I believe that there's some kind of help that we can do as parents. I'm not a parent yet, but I'm preparing myself to be a parent. Because in the first years, there's the whole body and mental system is being created and set up. So I feel that the way you set up the environment for your kid is gonna really help him or her in the future when he's or her independent, and he has the right setting in order to go out there and see what you need to do with the current situation, because that's going to happen in 10 or 20 years. You don't even know the problems or the challenges. Right now, the challenge is that a 15-second TikTok video.
Yeah, in 20
but
years.
But in 10, 20 years, it's going to be virtual reality or chips. So we're not even ready to understand what's coming. The best thing that in my view, the best thing that we can do is create the right setting and the right structure and the right education and the right strength.
That's the frog.
That's a frog.
Because that's hard.
Yeah. So that in the future, you have the best resources possible in order to cope with whatever's going on. And the frog, you know what's funny about the frog is it's a cliche. Everyone knows it, but it's funny because I see most entrepreneurs, and I also suffered from this, is that they don't do it. Everyone knows it. It's funny because there's a trend of people clichéing phrases or concepts because you hear it so much, but then people don't do it.
Yeah.
And especially with ADD, I've seen that as entrepreneurs, you need to master prioritization. See the 20 or 200 things that you need to do, and to pick the top 3, 4, 5, 10 that you want to do today or the next week or this next month. And then you also know the depth or the difficulty of each topic. And I see that, of course, during the day, in the morning, my brain goes, let's just start with the easy ones. And I did for many years that way. Eventually, I put enough effort to actually deliver during the day the hard ones. But it's just more painful because in the morning you have the best vitality, energy, the rest, everything. So and that's why I always say this analogy. That's why people love to read the newspaper in the morning. Because it's extremely easy task like no effort with your best energy. No wonder it feels so well. It's like, I'm so fresh. I'm reading the newspaper. That's why nowadays I wake up between 5 to 5:30. That for an Argentinian is extremely early because we're a very late country and culture. And at 6 a.m. I'm usually sitting down on my desk and I choose the number one most difficult task and I do it right away. And it's painful. I hate it. I don't like it. Many days, like 2 or 3 days, when I batch write, it's about writing. I do not like writing. I like the output. I like reaching out. I like to see that it impacted you. And we're talking about libido. It's great, and I see the impact. And I, closed multiple deals over those posts. But when I'm there, I hate it. I'm like, I wish I shouldn't do this. And eventually, I'm gonna hire people that will help me, copywriters and stuff. But right now, I want to master it by myself. And I'm eating the frog. And it's so rewarding because same as going to the gym, once you've done it, it's very painful. But once you've done it, you have won the day. But everything goes down afterwards. Everything's easier after conquering that.
But don't you think we have to teach ourselves to like this stuff? For instance, if you, for 20, 30 years, you eat potato chips, sweets and candies and burgers and hot dogs, then you switch to a steak, it's not that tasty. But once you figure it out, that's the real taste. The steak is amazing.
But you're not teaching yourself. You're just, your brain is adjusting automatically. It's not conscious. It's not like, I'm going to like, if you would think shit, you wouldn't like it. I mean, it's very difficult. It's just that the steak is good. The gym is good. I also hate going to the gym, by the way. My sports are surf, kite surfing, and snowboarding. But because they rely on natural conditions and they need more preparation, you can...
Yeah, but in order to be a great surfer, you have to go to the gym.
Yeah, and I went when I was 18, but the past year, thanks to this trainer, I've been going 2 or 3 times a week, mostly 2 times a week, diligently, because it takes a lot of energy out of me. I don't want to do it. In the beginning, I hated it. And slowly, progressively, I'm starting slowly to like it because I see the results and I see especially the mindset, more than the body, it's the mindset. And then I'm just a more efficient human being. It's incredibly powerful. It's not a sport. It's like a superpower going to a gym. It's incredible. Like your hormones, your testosterone, your mental health, your physical health, your digestion, your sleep, everything is improved. Libido. Yeah, sexual health.
You're a machine.
Everything is improved. So as a byproduct of going, I'm starting to like it, but I can't train myself. I mean, it's still painful. Every single day, I'm like, well, I gotta go to the gym. And some people love going to a gym, and they're lucky. Exactly, I see that. My trainer also is like, how the heck don't you like going to the gym? It's like, dude, because I'm not like you. How the heck don't you like going to surf? It's like, okay, I get it. So it's things, but the repetition and the reward and the discipline is gonna show you the results. So start helping rewire your brain. The reality is that yes, it may be more comfortable to smoke weed and to eat chocolate and to play video games. It is more. I mean, in the very short term, it's more rewarding because it takes no energy. It's just fun and stuff. So, because our brain is a machine that is designed on one side for survival, but on the second side to optimize energy, to save energy, electrical energy. It always it might tend to find the shorter or easiest way to, be more comfortable or be a little bit, just use less energy. For me, I have to spend a lot of energy to go to the gym, to decide and go to the gym. The more I do it, the less energy I need to invest. But I call them will credits. I have some will credits that I use very wisely, because I don't want to do it, but I negotiated with myself that I will not negotiate anymore. I will just do it. And I will take those will credits out of that jar, and I will make myself do it because this is non-negotiable. But it takes energy. It's not easy. Over time, that gets optimized. So the idea of eating the frog is reframe. My goal is to reframe my mind that I may like the process over time, but I'm not looking to like it. I'm looking to execute it and do it.
It's not about to get liked, it's about to get done.
Yes.
You do it, You forget about
Yes,
it.
and it's same as a rejectal. Our brain is hardwired to feel pain when you're rejected. That's why even though when you're a great salesman and you had 1,000 no's, it's not that the second 1,000 no is going to be complete. You're going to be completely, equanimous. There is still a hit. You just develop a lot of tools that you said, don't worry, I'm going to go to the next one. But it's not pleasant. Every single one is pleasant. So the hack with that is to disassociate the idea of that someday you will be able to overcome the no. No, don't worry. It's going to be painful every single time. Maybe it's going to be incrementally less painful, but the pain is going to be still there. The thing is that when you detach from that idea that someday you may be free from that pain, and you just budget it, it's like, I'm going to feel pain, then it becomes normal, then it becomes expectable. So that's why I don't expect not to dislike going to the gym. I just budget it.
You know what's hard for me to acknowledge is that there is no end game in life. You can't earn money and that's it. You can't go to the gym, get in form, and that's it. You can't eat 1,000 pounds of steak and that's it. You have to do it, and there is no end game.
Yeah.
There's just no. Once you acknowledge it, once you realize it, you're like, oh, okay, so I'm going to do it for the rest of my life? Yeah. So for the rest of my life, I'll try to eat 90% clean and 10% cheat? Yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah. For the rest of my life, I at least have to go 2 or 3 times a week to the gym? Okay, no problem. For the rest of my life, I will still have to pay taxes, mortgage, or for the rent. Oh, okay, no problem. But you have to realize it. Just like you said, so the best investment is in yourself. Once you realize something about yourself, it gets easier. That's the problem. Okay, so this is the thing that I will never get solved, because there's no end game in working out, eating healthy, or getting a better relationship with your spouse. And say, you can't get just a spouse and that's it. We're going to be happy for the rest of our lives. No, you're going to get some fighting, some conflicts, etc. You have to communicate. You have to deal with these problems, etc. You have to teach yourself to do that.
The basic law of nature that I learned in this Vipassana retreat that I got a tattoo out of it, it's impermanence. Every single thing is moving. Even I'm not good at physics, but this idea of a hard surface is theoretical, because it's actually, I think, atoms or electrons, sorry for being ignorant on that, they're just moving very quickly. That feels like solid, but it's actually moving. Like everything is moving. So it's interesting that even when we see things that are stagnant or still, they are moving. What does this mean? This wood is being degraded every single second. My hair is growing right now. If you would really, really zoom in, and go very, very low speed, you would see my hair growing. I'm getting older right now. This permanent tattoo is fading right now.
Yes.
This metal is fading. It's just fading 1 trillionth of a second until in 100 years it will be disintegrated. So everything is moving. There's no such thing as independent arising. Everything's interconnected. So even when you feel that you're going to have to pay mortgage for your whole life, or you're going to go to gym your whole life, this is just a belief that you have right now. But things are going to change and you're going to adapt. Because life changes, and maybe something happens with your health and you cannot go to the gym, so you have to do something different. Or maybe you win the lottery, you don't have to pay mortgage. I know that, but really, no, you do. Lottery could be an outlier, but it could be also real. But you inherit money, or you have a successful business. Maybe next year you find a way to to boost your podcast and you become one of the best podcasters here.
Yeah, but I can't stop. If I become, for instance, the next year I get 1 million subs, I have to continue doing that. Not because I have to, but because I want to.
Well,
the problem is
ask the future guy if he wants to do it. Maybe next year you want to do it and you will keep doing it, but maybe in 5 years you don't want to do it anymore. So you cannot predict it. You can only be open and adaptable to kind of like dance with the current situations, because everything's going to be changing every single time.
The statistics show us that once people retire, they age like this, 2 to 3 times faster than they did before they got retirement, because they were working, they were having some kind of a goal and purpose. I have to go to the job, the work that I don't even like, But I have even
keeps you moving.
It just keeps me moving. I have to wake up.
You're in the game.
You're in the game.
And because
Once
you're in the game,
retire,
you have to improve yourself.
Yeah. You can build a business which is not where you won't get involved. You do the exit, okay, but then what? Another venture, another business, what else? Then you fix your health, okay, then you raise your children, okay, but you can't do something with the end game. There's almost nothing, no things in end result. Everything.
And that brings a lot of pain. When you do something with such a hard end in mind, it becomes, in my experience, it becomes very painful, because when things start to change and you're fixed to that end goal,
bingo,
then it creates this suffering. So that's why every single year that it goes by, I try to be more open and more adaptable to what's happening. 5 years ago, I didn't know I was going to live in California. Like when I was living in Bali, 2 years ago, I didn't know that I was going to be living in Bali. I didn't know I was going to be coaching other entrepreneurs. I mean, everything's changing so fast, and the way that I have had some success in my life, and I really love the life that I created. I call it life by design, because we are very diligent on designing the lives that we want in the way that we want it in every single area of life. Is because we were able, with my fans, we were able to be open and adapt and execute depending on market conditions, country conditions, our own will. What did we want? What do we want? What is the updated version that we want? And it has created less suffering than just being fixed to something when things are just changing so fast that they make you sometimes pivot or change.
But also there are some things in life like surfing. You surf not because you want to catch an ultimate wave for once in a lifetime and that's it. You surf because you love the process. Yeah. You surf. Yeah. Process of surfing.
100%.
That's what you do. Ignacio, so with everything that you have come through at only 39 years of age, right? Are you a religious person? Do you believe in God?
I believe in some form of greater energy.
The creator.
I don't put a name or a structure. I believe in a higher form of energy, that we are not alone, and there's something else, something greater than we are. I don't know if it's a creator of our energy, whatever it is, but I believe in something greater.
Where do you think where we come from? From apes? From the creator?
Well, I mean, even if you came from apes have to come from somewhere. So one thing is evolution, but...
Yeah, but we have evolved.
Yeah. I don't have a clear answer. I've studied it quite so much, and I haven't found something. It's funny, because I was talking to my college friends the other day that one of the things that gives me the most vertigo is the size and the infinity of the universe. It's not death. It's not what happens after life. It's just like the typical video when you zoom out and you see the Earth and solar system and the sun and then the galaxy and it never stops. It never ends. That kind of like fucks with my mind. I'm a pretty smart guy, and I still, when I think about that, I'm like, I can't process it. So.
But don't you feel like a small ant at this moment?
It's not even ant. It's an atom.
Yeah.
It's like nothing. And it really helps me when I'm going through very crucial times. It's the thing that I do with my clients. It really helps me remind me of that we're just like little ants. And it's not such a big problem. Even when of course it sound like BS, because I still feel the problem, I still feel the pain. But it helps me ground and not become a victim. Saying like, oh, this is happening to me. It's like, you're just an ant. You're good. And if this goes bad, it's also solvable, especially when you're supported with a lot of people. But yes, I believe in some greater form of energy. I don't like to put it a form or a side, and that's why I'm more focused on my spirituality, my practices, my meditation, and I do believe, this is very personal, I do believe that God, whatever God is, resides within us. And once again, this is a very personal view. I think that religions are just like a tool that helps us put something outside that is actually inside us, because it's very difficult to see ourselves, it's very difficult to connect to ourselves, it's very difficult to go inside. So it seems like it's easier for the human to put it outside as a form of God. Once again, very personal view. So we pray to the God, so we ask to the God instead of going inside. And I believe also this from my ontological background, that our answers and our God and our magic resides within us. And every time that we connect, that we go inside, that we meditate, that we connect to the instinct, however we want to call it, it's when magic happens. So I try to live my life in that way.
Have you ever looked at the sky and asked a question like why, what to do, why is it?
Almost every day, but...
Almost every day?
I do sun gazing. It's a very controversial practice, but I love it. It's very risky, so you have to be careful on doing it. That is staring to the sun, staring right at the sun. I do it either in the very early morning or the last 30 minutes in the afternoon. That's why, well, it's one of the reasons why we live close by the beach. And it's a very intimate, spiritual, and very powerful meditation. It's like a meditation with your eyes open. And every time that I do that, it automatically gets me to, okay, there's the sun, the planet is freaking floating in the air and it's turning.
It's not floating, we're like flying very fast.
It's floating, but going forward in a very fast way, and we're like that.
Spinning.
And then like some guys are up, some guys are down. We are in California, we are like this, even though there's not north or south, it's just a concept.
Yeah.
So it's funny, every time that I stare into the sun, I completely switch into that, and it creates a lot of vertigo.
But do you ask some questions?
Yes, of course.
Who's the recipient?
The recipient, that's why I don't put because it's so difficult for me, I don't put a form. I just, I mean, it sounds kind of like hippie new age, but it's like the energy of the universe. It's like energy. I don't like to put it a form, because it creates some fear of like, we don't know, like you don't know. Like, whoever's trying to preach their own God or Messias, for me, is bullshit. Like nobody knows. That's when I feel that we're ants. It's like no, this is like that. This is like, you don't know shit. I don't know shit. You don't know shit. That's my view, right? If I would be an alien, like a super intelligent alien, they were like, dude, you guys don't know. Like, come on, you guys inventing it. You're just trying to make sense out of something that is almost impossible. So that's why I feel, or what has helped me is to detach from trying to understand and just like trust. And I trust there's something that is happening that is kind of like, everywhere. I like to be very connected to nature. I have found part of my connection to spirituality through nature. I think that nature is a spiritual experience. And I have found a lot of empowerment of going inside and finding our own God within us. That is not an individual, it's like everything. Because that's when I have felt the most magical moments, the oneness moments where you feel like completely interconnected with the whole world. But I don't judge so much, because I also know that I don't know. So it's just like an experience. And it's also an experience that is changing. I was raised Catholic. I didn't feel represented by the Catholic Church mostly. So I'm like flowing and looking for a way to find a spiritual experience. And for me, surfing and being in the ocean is one of the deepest spiritual experiences. But I feel absolutely connected to the world, to the human race, to the nature, everything. And that's why I spend so much in the water.
But don't you think that you just substitute the words? For instance, when you say the nature, the planet, the galaxy, something, the energy, something greater than human being, etc. Maybe that's just you're substituting all those words with one word, God.
That's why I think that God, or however when I call it, it's everywhere. It's and at least from my education, it was always an idea that it's like something there, like an entity
that we can't even imagine. We can't even acknowledge it.
If there's something there, I feel it's everywhere. It's immersed everywhere, and mostly within ourselves. But once again, this is a continuous learning and experience. I'm not sold or I'm not preaching this. It's just I'm sharing where I'm at in such a complex topic. Such a complex topic.
Ignacio, let's have the last question. So the last question on my podcast is always the same. Let's have two assumptions with you, okay? So assumption number one is the President of the United States is the most powerful human being on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Assumption number two is you become one. You become the President of the US. Once you do so, the Secret Service comes to you and says, hello, Mr. President, congratulations. Now we're with you, we support you, we love you, we have all the answers in the world. We know everything, right? You ask us, we give you the answer, the truth. What would be your first question?
How can we create a world that has more opportunities for the whole human race, so that we can reduce the suffering, the pain, the deaths, and inequalities? Not inequalities in a woke way, but as a planet, the way that resources are being administered. Once again, I'm not an expert in geopolitics, but I feel that the idea of countries can be improved. I'm not exact. Once again, because I'm not an expert on this, I don't have an exact solution. But if I would be in front of people that know so much, I would ask them, how can we create a more efficient system to run this planet? Because I don't feel, it's not that I don't know, I don't feel that having 200 divided countries with different currencies and political parties and economies and languages and everything is the most efficient way to run this planet as a whole. Once again, I'm thinking the planet as a company also, not as a company, an organization. And as a business administrator, I don't think that the way that the planet and 8 billion people are organized is the most efficient way. So I will ask them, what's the best way to run this planet as a whole?
So that's exactly what the globalists do. The WEF, they try to make no borders, to mix all the cultures, to make one digital currency, and to kind of make a better world for everybody. But if you see
that's
a
the
planet,
theory, but I know how they execute. I know the execution, kind of like what we're saying about socialism in Latin America, that it's not socialism. It's like they're using that in order to have their own agenda and to see the country way. So I'm not sure if what they're doing actually, the execution is actually aimed to really, really have a better way to run this planet, or to control, manipulate, see whatever. I'm not really into what they're trying to do.
Yeah, but if you see a planet as a business has one position, at least one position, which is CEO. So there has to be one CEO of the whole planet. If there are no borders, no cultures, one digital currency.
I know. That's why I feel that with the technology systems, algorithms, and cryptography, and not cryptocurrencies, but all the platforms and protocols that are raising from blockchain, my feeling is that we're going to start seeing more systems rising in order to decentralize the power and the control, so that we can integrate more people. And of course, it's going to be a huge revolution, and we have to find, I don't know what's the end game, what's the perfect, because I haven't studied so much, so it's just a general idea. But I think that putting so much power in a human being, it's still a human being with ego, with narcissism, with ambition, and that's why it fails, because we don't have superhumans, like superhumans. We have very intelligent people like Elon Musk. Yeah, sure, it's way more intelligent than
he's still a human.
Than me, but still human. He's still a human with food problems, with shitty sleep, etc.
Emotions.
Exactly, emotions. Feelings. The Putin, etc., etc. So I feel that some kind of systems and blockchain integration in the future could help us decentralize the power and do something more efficient, more equal. But once again, I don't know.
Some kind of an arbitrage.
Yeah.
Well, some people say that AI is some kind of a moral compass because it knows exactly what is good and bad, what's right and what's wrong.
And that's a huge topic. Like, what's AI gonna evolve to? I love technology. I love technology, and I'm so thankful to be living in this era, because I was born in early 80s. I mean, I think it was just like the migration from black and white TV around us. I don't remember now, but it wasn't so long, to color TV, no cell phones, and then first era of phones, cell phones, computers, internet. Now full on cell phones like touchscreen and stuff, social media, borderless, blockchain, AI, and I'm only almost 40, so if I plan to live at least 60 years more, man, it's gonna be wild, like freaking wild. And even with some revolutions, it's gonna be, for people that love technology, it's gonna be very interesting years, every single year, especially now with the incorporation of AI.
Listen, I love technologies. I really love them. I love all the new stuff, the cameras, the computers, everything. The gadgets, I love all this stuff. My problem is, I have no problem with digital currency. Don't even have problem with central bank digital currency. I don't have problem with even social credit score. I have a problem with who stands behind it. Who says that this is good, this is bad?
Yeah.
Who says that on this platform, just like on YouTube, you can't talk about this, but you can talk about this. 2 years later, oh, no problem.
Yeah.
Now you can talk about it. Yeah, but my channel, for instance, is banned.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Exactly.
Sorry. My apologies. I have the problem with, once again, yes, with the human. So just like you said, we can't get that much of a power or government to central systems. Decentralized, I believe that's the answer. And the country that we live right now in, the US, was founded on those values. The lesser the government, the better. Because people were fleeing from Europe where there were monarchs.
Yeah.
When the government was huge,
yeah.
They ran away from Europe and said, this is not the way we want to live. Catholicism is not the way we want to preach God.
Yeah.
We want to become Baptist, we want to become Protestant, etc.
Yeah.
We're gonna. If you're a Muslim, no problem, be a Muslim. You're a Christian, yeah. You're a Catholic, okay.
Problem.
You're a Baptist, no problem. Mormon, no problem. You want to do business, no problem. You want to do this, and that, no problem. This is the land of opportunities.
Yeah.
And I fear the most that this is the last thing on planet Earth that is the most free, the best place for everybody. We just have to get along. And I fear the most that this is going to a destruction.
And why do you feel that?
Because of the hatred, just like you said about Argentina. The hatred, it's in the air right here in LA. Man, I've got Ring video cameras, I've got the app. So every night, every evening, I get a notification. Someone was shot, someone was robbed, someone stole a car, someone stole a bike. The kid is missing, the girl is missing, an adult is missing, someone with the knife, someone with the machete. And it's only in my area, not in all LA. And this is the valley. That's not the downtown. Yeah, it's a good area. And it's not safe here. So that's my biggest concern. But I'm not concerned about myself. I'm concerned about my children.
Yeah,
that's the world they will live in.
As I told you, I'm so amazed about the speed that technology is evolving that I started worrying less about what's going to happen in 20 years because of this impermanence concept that I was talking. I think the impermanence is being accelerated, and like one of the things that happened is that when we came here, because I went to like the Argentinian Harvard, but of course it's way cheaper there. I said, okay, no, if we want to raise children here, like when do we need to start saving? If we want to send them to Harvard or whatever, like when do we need to start raising, like saving money for that? And I said, wait a minute, like Mike. I mean, if I want, let's say that we have kids next year, It's going to be 20 years, like kind of like average. In
Everything's
20
gonna
years, I don't even know
change
how the education system
20
is going to be.
times.
Because nowadays, it's really being changed. It's not obvious that you need to go to university. It's not obvious that you need to go to that form of university. Now there's some kind of remote. Like, it's changing and accelerating so much that I don't even know if in 20 years I'm going to be believing that this has to be the way. So that helped me get a lot of suffering out of the way, because I'm like, I don't need to solve this right now. Like, these things are changing so much, so freaking much. And it's not an excuse. It's really changing with VR, with the way that we are educating, with the way that there's more talks about how to change the education system, because we see that it's so old school, that with the speed that everything's changing, that education system eventually is going to break. It's already showing its cracks.
It's broken right now.
Exactly.
People go to school with guns. They kill other kids.
So we know that this is not going to be the same way in 100 years or in 80 years. So there's some time in the timeline that we're going to see an adaptation of how we educate ourselves or our families or whatever. So I feel that over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, things are going to widely change. Imagine like in two years ago, we didn't have ADI. I mean, we didn't know it was in the backstage, and now almost every one of us is already using almost every day in many ways, and we're just seeing like the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. So I have more hopes than fears in this case. We're still together as a human race, trying to make the best world possible for ourselves as humans. So I feel that over time, I don't know if we will be able to see it. We may be able to see it just because of the speed of execution that we are right now. But I think that eventually the human race, if it doesn't get extincted, it finds a way to improve it and to use it. And every single time that we were afraid of whatever was happening, we found a way over time. Sometimes it takes too much time, and you maybe not be able to see it. Maybe your kids or your grandkids. But I just have better hopes in
well, extinction is not the problem. The problem is Venezuela is here.
Yeah,
that's not the kind of a life I would like for myself, and my kids.
Not here, man. I mean, if you go to Venezuela, if you go to those countries, I mean, it's like saying that communism is here. You know what communism is? It's like 100x different. It is starting to feel a little bit like some percentage. There's something going on there, sure. But I think it's part of pendulum. It's not nowhere close. If you talk to a Russian guy, a Russian 80-year-old guy that really lived communism, he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is not even close. There's some ideas that are being talked about.
You know what they're going to say? They're going to say it wasn't that bad.
I know. And it starts somewhere. I mean, the reason why, even though I see this, I still chose the US to emigrate and to go all in, because I trust the US mindset overall, that it's going to adjust and correct itself to a more centered vision of, because people here are very ambitious and also very execution oriented, and when they see that something is not working, eventually they are really good at adjusting. So, and then of course, as I said in the first post, in 5 or 10 years you have to reassess: is this a place that you want to live? Or do you want to live in Germany? Or maybe Argentina, pulls a Hail Mary and it becomes, in 20 years, one of the, world potents. I don't know.
Amen. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.